morning, everybody. This is our next craft, our next curbside pickup craft, and it's glow jars. So this one is the simplest one you're going to do probably for all the curbside pickups, and you only need two things. You need, in your kit you'll get a mason jar, but if you've got extra paint left over, you can use anything glass. So an old vase, an old glass even, anything that you would want to decorate with these glow-in-the-dark paints. And so the glow-in-the-dark paints are from Tulip, and I got them at Michael's. You can get them at the craft stores. They do curbside pickup. And they're really fabric paints. So another idea, if you have like a garden flag and you want to add a little glow paint to it so that they're visible at night, you might want to highlight some of the pictures around with the glow paints, because that would be pretty cool. So it really can adhere to many surfaces. The packages and the little paints themselves say fabric, but they stick and adhere perfectly to glass also. They are, after it dries, a little tacky, and days later it's still a little tacky on the glass, but it won't come off. So those are the only things you need in your kit. You're going to get today, you're going to get the glass mason jar, and then each kit comes with 3 different colors. So I started one a few weeks back to show an example, and this is the design that I was working on. And again, you just take your paint, shake it up, really shake it up, make sure that it's well mixed, and then you just go ahead and start with your design. Just go ahead and place it on, and I will show you how easy it is. I started with mine down because it was a nice level, flat kind of surface, but you can do it standing up so that you have an easy way to turn it. Otherwise, you have to let each section dry really well until you can move on to be able to place it so that it's dry. And it takes a good 24 hours for it to completely dry. Again, this is a week and a half later, and it's still tacky, sticky, but it's not going to come off now. So that's don't worry, you haven't done anything wrong if you feel it and it feels like it might still be a little sticky, a little tacky. It will always be that way on something glass. On a fabric, it dries different. So I just went with dots. You can do lines, you can do squiggles, you can do a design. My daughters were watching me, and they're like, oh, we could put sunshine and stars and moon on. So again, however creative you want to be, have at it. I'd love to see your designs, so post them back on our page for us so we can see what they look like. So each color has a real teeny tiny tip, so you can be very precise, very creative, because the tip is so small and precise that you can really do intricate designs. And at first I was like, oh, I'm going to do dots in certain rows and kind of patterns, but that got a little harder to kind of follow. But literally, you're just putting a dot, if you're doing dots, on. And at first it might look like it's raised a little bit, but you can use the tip to swirl it down a little. And that's all. So this is the one that I put on here, this top one, and that's all there is to it. Now you do want to be careful with how much you put on, because if you're doing really big thick dots and you're doing it or it's standing up, the design might run because of the weight of these paints. It might bleed down, run into something else. So less is more. If you are going to do something with a bigger design, like if you were going to do a big moon or stars to fill something in, you will want to let that section dry before you move on to something else. Otherwise the paint will run down or move on you a little bit. And I wanted to show that. I brought another blank one here, a little one. So if you were to do a really big design, again, it takes a lot more of this paint, and you will notice when you're using it, sometimes they have air bubbles. You want to make sure that, you know, you go back in and pop the air bubble and get it nice and smoothed out. But you can see that's a whole lot more paint than these little tiny dots that I was doing. So if I were to leave this to stand up, it might shift down and start running. So that's why I'm saying, if you're using something with a bigger design, bigger dots, which would be really cool, or different size dots, start with it laying down flat and go ahead and work on those designs at sections, you know, one section at a time, and then let it dry for 24 hours. And again, you can push the paint around quite a bit with these tips, so it smooth it out a little bit, make it a little less thick. And that's all there is to this. It's so simple. Anyone can do it. These are fairly inexpensive little paints. Again, you want to make sure you really shake them up and that they're completely, you know, combined, and you don't see any loose water or versus the paint. You want to make sure it's combined good, and then, you know, work on your design. It really is easy. And you've got 3 colors with you, so I'll show the finished product in the dark to show you what you're going to be able to see these illuminated like. They turn out really cool. You only have to put them out on the sun. So again, you can put these out on your deck, your patio, out in your garden, your yard, and, you know, be out in the sun. It's waterproof. You don't have to worry about if you do leave it out in the rain, dump the water out, but this won't go away. It's completely waterproof. And then at night, after it's been in the sun all day, you'll have these little glowing, sparkling sections to your patio, to your garden, and it'll be a really cool design that you have added to your garden or your patio. So again, I'm just working with these 3 colors again that I started with my dots. Kind of working on a new little design on this little mason jar. And it's kind of turning out to be like a sunburst. So you can see that design in the middle, again, was a lot more paint. And then I kind of did squigglies with the pink, and I did straight with the blue. And I'm gonna let this dry because, again, it has to dry for 24 hours. If I roll it around or have it upright, I'm a little worried that it might run. But we've got lots of time to just kind of wait for these things to dry. I do want to keep just showing you different ideas on these jars. How easy it is to make a different design with the colors. So I'm just doing some squigglies here. You can see that rolled a little bit if you touch them. They do have a design. These jars kind of have a design on them that they're not completely smooth, but you won't notice that when you put your colors on, but they're not completely stable either. You can see it's rolling a little bit if I touch it too much. So, you know, you might want to hold it with one hand to stabilize it. Put something like a cloth underneath of it. I'm on a real smooth table. But again, these are just some examples of designs. So, endless possibilities. Again, these are thicker, bigger than these little dots, and I'm going to want to lay it and leave it flat and let it dry for 24 hours. Otherwise, I fear that you're gonna start moving and bleeding. So again, 24 hours, and you can move on to the next side, the next section, and you'll have a completed jar in no time. I wanted to give a heads up. We have our June calendar out. So be looking for this online on Facebook. And if you're coming through for curbside pickup for crafts or lunches, you'll get it in the package with your lunch or your craft. And I wanted to give a shout out to Chef and all the wonderful meals she's making. Really thrilled that she's been doing that for you guys, and they've turned out so nice. We've heard wonderful feedback on that. And the new crafts for June are watercolor cards. So you'll get a kit to make some cards, watercolor designs. So I'll have those out in an example really soon for you to see. And then the next and final craft for June will be book origami, where you fold the book, an old book, you take an old book and you'll fold it where when it's open there's a word displayed. So I'll have choices on that, different words. They'll come with a pattern so you'll be able to follow it, and a tutorial through the videos. So I hope you're enjoying the crafts, and we look forward to providing more crafts for you, and hope you're staying safe. See you soon. Bye-bye.